Only I can beat Keir Starmer. Hi guys, those were the words of the leader of the Reform UK party, Richard Tice, on Reform UK friendly GB News. Now, the former member of the Brexit party wants the Conservatives to stand aside so that his party can win. He claims this is what Farage agreed with Boris Johnson back in 2019, which resulted in the Tories winning an 80-seat majority. Now, because in Tice's eyes they didn't make use of that massive advantage, they should return the favour at the next general election. His reasoning is twofold. One, that the party is rising in the polls while the Tories are falling, and that Labour won't stop the boats, only Reform UK will. Have a listen to this.
Only Reform now, Camilla, can stop Labour. The Tories have had their chance. We did the right thing back in 19. We stood aside. We let them get a big seat majority. They've blown it. They've messed up. They should do the right thing. They should stand aside.
Richard, don't be ridiculous. That's not going to happen.
Those who say we're going to split the vote on the right, if you're worried about it, you can't vote for failure. You can't reward failure.
Are you seriously suggesting that Tory MPs should stand aside for reform?
Well, they're all terrified that they're going to lose their seats. Right.
But they're not going to do that.
They all know they're going to lose.
Okay.
The brand is toxic. If they want to stop Labour, they should do the right thing as we did back in 19. I can beat Keir Starmer. They can't.
Can you beat Keir Starmer? You've got
head, without
10 or 11 in the polls, and the latest opinion puts, I think, the Tories on about 26. So at the moment, you can't beat Keir Starmer. The Conservatives, if they improve things, if they become more low tax and a bit more Tory.
They're going the opposite direction. They're going down. The brand is going down. It's toxic. We're the only party that has a serious plan to stop the boats, right? The whole Rwanda plan has completely failed.
Would you scrap Rwanda?
It was never going to work. So scrap Rwanda, stop wasting time, money and effort. The only thing you can do is what Australia did. You pick up, you safely take back. We're entitled to do that under international treaties. That's the only thing that will stop the boats. Labour won't stop the boats, only Reform UK.
Okay.
Is completely unhinged. Okay, let's get into this. Back in 2019, Richard Tice's former boss, Nigel Farage, sat down with Boris Johnson and they hammered out a deal where instead of fielding candidates in every constituency, the Brexit party would field candidates in some constituencies. Of course, this was to help the Conservatives. Now, it didn't always work out. In some cases, they split the right-wing vote and it helped the Labour Party. But generally, the idea was that it would they would shore up the Tory support, the Tory vote when it came to Brexit. This is the core problem here for Reform UK. Back in 2019, the Brexit party, headed by Nigel Farage, charismatic figure, was the talk of the day was Brexit. That was the main issue. And Boris Johnson adopted UKIP and Brexit party rhetoric and said he was going to get, Brexit over the line. He was the one you needed to vote for to get Brexit done, to get Brexit off the table. Stop talking about Brexit, but also at the same time, Brexit would resolve all problems. It would fix all problems. Problems with the NHS, get Brexit done. Schools are crumbling, get Brexit done. Not enough housing, get Brexit done. You name the problem, Boris Johnson's response was get Brexit done. And Nigel Farage, in a sense, lent his support to that. Now, the talk today is not stop the boats. That's not what people's concerns are. People's concerns are cost of living, the NHS, crumbling schools, housing. These are the core issues that are important to people today, not stopping the boats. So the Reform UK's main issue seems to be, well, we're going to stop the boats. The Conservatives have not achieved that. Rwanda has been a failure. And he's correct in his rhetoric. But what people are concerned about is not immigration. And also this point about, well, we can succeed because we can send people back to France. But you need to have an agreement with France. He's talking about, well, let's copy Australia. The Australian model is completely different, or was completely different to what the UK currently has. And, we're talking about agreements. This is a former member of the Brexit party. The Brexiteers want to move Britain away from Europe, not closer alignment, not better agreements with Europe. Anyway, that's a side point. But is there a chance that Reform UK can pick up seats? Can they replace the Conservatives? No, for a number of reasons. So first of all, they have 11 councillors out of 18,000. Okay, so at the moment they're not doing very well. They're polling at about 8-9%, but they need to be polling at above 20% if they're in the running to pick up a seat. Their policies are not winning over the public. And, you know, when we think about the Conservatives, yes, we generally think of them as pro-Brexit, to the hard right, UKIP style. But that's not always the case, because if you look in the south of England, the Conservatives are a bit more moderate. They're not willing to vote for the Labour Party. I'm talking about Conservative Party voters. They're not willing to vote for Labour, but they want to stick with the Conservatives for traditional reasons also. They're homeowners. They're more concerned about the prices of their homes dropping, so that's why they're voting for the Conservatives. That's why they've traditionally voted for the Conservatives. So Reform UK are not going to pick up those voters. Many people who voted for the Conservatives in 2019 with Boris Johnson and his rhetoric are going to switch back to Labour, because they were traditionally Labour voters. They wanted Brexit off the table. They wanted the parties to stop talking about Brexit. The Labour Party are not talking about Brexit so much. So many of those voters are going to switch back. So the Reform UK party are not going to replace the Tories. But they're not designed to do that. Their whole goal, and I've said this before, is to move the Conservatives further to the right economically. But in order to do so, they need to engage in this sort of right-wing social policies, like stopping the boats and dealing with wokeness and stuff like that. They know that this is a vehicle for them to move the Conservatives further to the right, because their goal, of course, is economic conservatism. It's about cutting taxes. It's about reducing the size of government. It's about helping out the private sector. You know, Brexit, in a sense, you know, cutting regulations, reducing protections for workers, destroying environmental standards. These are the goals of Reform UK. Can they achieve that? No, but they understand that if they can split the Tory vote enough, this will pressure the Conservatives to move more to the right. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.